As you can see, I have hundreds of slides for today, billions. But originally we planned to cover try and catch, modules, export, what is Babel, what is Webpack, and what is Gulp, because we need to use them for our projects. So let's start with try and catch. Does anyone familiar with try and catch and what it does? Maybe any guess, any what it might do?
Similar to like an if-else kind of, in the sense that you try something and then you want to check if it doesn't work, you check if an error then occurs.
Yeah, basically yes. So when you write your code and wrap it into try and catch, so inside the try you execute some code, and if that code return you an error for some reason, then it will automatically fall to catch with that error, so you can handle it. And let me actually quickly create cd desktop. Okay, here.
Is it only used when you're communicating with the server, or?
No, it can be anywhere if you want to handle any errors, potential errors. But mostly it's when you work with some asynchronous code, and then when you're communicating with the server. Ooh, lesson already exists. Really? Yeah. Okay. And we already have in there, so code. Ooh. Shift pop. Beautiful. So let me open the terminal and we can start. Imagine that I'm writing some code. I will create, I don't know, some function, the counter. So const, I want to create a count down number. Then we want to have while and number more than 0. We want to, I don't know, so our number, and then we want to console log. We want to console log what? Done. Something like that. So yeah. So imagine init, I want to create one more function. Init const init. Here I will call my countdown with, I don't know, 10, maybe 5. And let's actually, so as we already know asynchronous, I want to use Settimeout. So I will console log and the interval will be 1 second, right? So wait 1 second, execute, wait 1 second, execute. And we definitely want to decrement our number, right? And init. So let's start to do that. So if I do no beautiful, asynchronous, right? Because it's not waiting. Right. So we have done. I hope you did this exercise already and you know how to handle that. Settimeout. Let me think. What do we want to do? We want to have the in opposite direction. Const counter to multiply by counter, and we have and we want to have counter plus you want to do that. Well, I'm overcomplicating. I'm definitely overcomplicating. Yeah, I'm overcomplicating. Let's forget about this one. Sorry. Because I will confuse you with all this syntax and logic. We need to keep it simple. So, we want to have some, I don't know, sum. Right? And we have num1, yeah, it's better, it's definitely better, and num2. And we want to return sum, right? And we want to pass 5 and 6. So return, you probably can do just this. Or yeah, let's do that init. Maybe console log. Like this. So we have 11, right? But what happens if we not pass the second one? We have none, right? And what we want to do, we want to prevent this problem, and we want to handle this error, potential error. So what we can create here is that if num1 so is it number? Is it? Do you know? Do you remember?
Type of number?
Yeah, so type of number. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, let's do type of. One equals number, and so not equal, right? We want to handle the error. So if it's not equal, then number or type of number is not an equal number. We want to throw an exception, an error. Throw an error, which will both numbers, both arguments should be numbers. Numbers, right? So if somebody will call this function, and you can see that I'm crashing the whole application, right? So we're not executing anything else because we're crashing the application, because we're not handling the error. But that means that we want to, so we have this one, we want to create this try catch. And then I will execute my code here inside. So for now, let's just execute. And you can see we're not actually crashing our application, right? So we do not stop the whole file, the whole application from executing. We just not getting the result. And this is because we already have try and catch. And if you want to be more specific, we can have console error and console our error, right? So let's save. And you can see both arguments should be numbers, right? Or you might want to like warn. Save. Yeah, so it's still sending us error. So that be console. Give a sec. Log. Interesting. So if you do, yeah, we throw in an error. But if you have anything inside, it will actually log you your error, which is odd because, oh right, so it's not technically an error. Is it just a message? Let me check. So this is the whole thing. Error. Error. Yeah, so we have error. Is it just like error.message? Maybe .message. Yeah. See? So your error is an object, and to get the actual message and have a nice result, right? So you're not crashing the application, you just log in the message. And if you're in like a front end, on the front end side, not in terminal, you can use your error and save it. So here it doesn't make a difference, but let's create an index HTML. Hello world. Here we want to have script and src, right? And we have just our index. Okay, so let's try to open this file. Reveal in Finder. So hello world. And as you can see, we're getting our handled error, right? But look at, so if you do, for example, if you're not handling the error, if you just, this is what you normally can get. Both arguments should be numbers, right? This is like a typical error that you're getting. But if you handle it nicely, you'll have just this message. Or you can do some warn and show it as a warning, not an error, right? So you can kind of prevent the fail of this code. Yeah? You can probably do this try and catch here. And so when you, nah, probably not. Yeah, you want to have here. So when you execute in the function, you actually doing that, you can handle the error. So if you provide the second argument, save, refresh, you have your number. Yeah? Does it make sense? Yeah? Okay. So basically, try and catch, this is the tool with which you can handle different errors. And you can, it's not something, so if you throwing an error, that might be from the back end or from the front end, but if you're receiving an error, that will throw you the actual error here. Let me actually think, I've never tried, if I have a syntax error, I don't know, something stupid. Will it handle? Probably not. Yeah, app crashed. Okay, fair enough. So no. Yeah, this is silly. Yeah, so as you can see, it will not handle the regular things, like a syntax error, but you can handle this. And you can throw your error. But the problem is that you need to think about it. It doesn't do anything for you by itself, but you need to create such conditions and you need to throw an error. So you literally need to throw an error, right? Because it will not understand that something happened. Something wrong has happened. So errors should be thrown. Any questions?
Yeah, quick question. How does the I'm not sure what to say. How does the code know that the error in the try catch is the same as the one that we thrown up here?
Yeah, so this is basically the behavior of JavaScript. If inside your try you're getting an error somewhere here, which we are because we're throwing, it will automatically pass that as an argument to catch.
All right, cool. Okay. All right.
And that will pass as an object, so you can get the specific message to print as a message.
So if we don't have that line where we throw one, do we explicitly then say it in the catch block?
Yeah, so basically if you remove, you're saying that if you remove this line.
Yeah.
And let me just break it. As you can see, we have just none. We're not handling any errors.
Yeah.
So your try saying that everything is fine.
All right, cool. That makes sense.
Right. Let me actually give me a second. I will close window because it's a bit loud. Am I echoing?
Not echoing, but there's a lot of reverb, definitely.
Okay. Okay, yeah, because I'm in empty room, so.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Cool. Yeah. So this is try and catch. If you want to handle it, it's normally people normally use that for the querying server. So when you query the server, you might get any different errors, and you want to handle them nicely. And you might don't even print the message. You might want to have, okay, if I'm fail, do a set timeout and try again, right? And for example, try again with valid. In our case, let's say we try again with valid, right? So we will call this function again. So refresh. All right, sorry. Refresh. What's going on? Right. Why? When you're doing too much, what is the syntax for your set timeout?
You need to add the actual time.
First of all, this is a callback function.
All right.
And then actual time. Yeah. So save. And we can stop this one. We don't need it. We have a. If you refresh. Come on. Right, we're not console logging here. But so I want to do this with 5, with 4, but let's console log so you'll see actually that we got here error message, save, refresh. Both arguments should be numbers, and then we got our 9, right? So you can basically, in your catch, you can write any logic inside, because you want to, you probably can, for example, you try to reach the endpoint, the server, you send in the query, and for some reason server is down, so you get in response with error, so you have your catch and you call in the function again. For example, you might want to call actually this function with something like again and again, right? So it's kind of like a loop, which we call recursion. So let's imagine that we pass, for some reason, we pass 2 numbers and we have our num1 and num2. And we passing here. We forgot about num2, but this time we will call with num1 and num2, right? So on the first call, oh, by the way, we always forget about the second one, right? Yeah, we forget about the second one, and we are passing our num2, yeah, like this. And here we will pass, for example, 4 and 5. So let's try. Yeah. So it is working. So again, whole point is that with that you can handle, you can have a fallbacks that, okay, if it failed, then I want to do something. Or maybe you can have you loading the file on the front end, and if it fails on some point, it is a big file. You want to get the error, then it's handled, and maybe after 3 seconds try to re-download it or continue to download, right? So you build all this logic around it, and try catch is a very good thing, very good tool for you, because it will listen for the error for you. Questions? No? Okay. The next thing that we want to talk is modules. So modules is basically the way how you can do what? Let me ask you first. Why do we use modules? Do you know what is that?
Import and export. So
yeah, exactly. So we can export, right? We can export our code to somewhere else. So what it means, that imagine that we creating some file library, lib.js, right? And we want to use in our index.js. So I want to create a function const add, which will be num1, num2, and return this one, right? And another function, I want to use it like, I don't know, multiply num1, num2, this one, right? Let me probably be consistent, like this. And subtract -2 and divide, const divide, okay, divide. Yeah, so I have 4 functions and I want to use them here. And how can I do that? Can you tell me? So I want to have my console log, and I want to call my add with 10 and 25. How can I use my, let me start my server. Crashed, beautiful. It's crashed because add is not defined. How can I use it?
maybe Mushak has written something in the chat.
Import file. Okay, good start. Import. We want to import. I don't know. Mass actions, for example, from where? Lib, right? Yeah. So now we probably want to destructure it and get at. Save. Still problem. All right. So it doesn't know. We need to use const. Require. Good old syntax. Because Node doesn't know about import. And this is like a new fancy syntax which Node doesn't support for now. So require, as usually we do with all our Node applications. Okay, so still failing. Add is not a function because add is undefined, I believe. We can console log. What is add? And oh, sorry. Add.
It was addition, right?
Sorry?
I think it was addition. Is that why it's failing? Or does that?
Oh,
or
no,
does it not matter?
Here.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, there it is. My bad. Sorry.
Yeah. See, it's undefined. Any ideas how to connect these two files? So because we're importing here, right? We probably, like in real life, if you import in something, that means that somebody exported from someone else, from other place, right? So we want to export it. And that is why we have export modules, exports, and you can define what do you want to export, right? So you can export each line separately, like module exports. Let me think, because normally what I'm doing, just export. Is it like in React exports?
It's just export.
Export. Are you sure?
So export or exports without any.
Yeah, but that means that you will export only one thing.
I thought that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah, that's
like
why.
when you.
Sorry.
As in, like, if you do it before the variable name, you only do it. You only export that one thing, isn't it? If you place it before.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. That's if you put export. See,
yeah.
It's showing me that this is the wrong syntax. Yeah.
I think you have to export them as object.
Yes, I need to export them as an object. So what I need to do is actually have add and basically add, right? Or I can do addition. So basically I'm exporting one thing in the time, right? And that means that I'm exporting an object with different functions. And in my case, I want to export add because it will be like that. With ES6, I can use just add, right? As a shortcut. Then I want to have subtract. Then I want to multiply, and then I want to export divide, right? So now we have our math because we're exporting and our add is a function. So in that way, you can expose code from one file to another and create your own exportable code and own library, kind of. Or you can just connect different files. Yeah. Questions? No? I hear you.
Yeah. Sorry, does anyone else have a question? But yeah, sorry, I'll ask a question. Obviously, in this lib.js file, it's a quite small file. What if you had to export loads of stuff? Like, is there a shortcut way of like exporting it?
So you basically you're doing this. You just write in a list of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, there's no smaller way to do it.
A smaller way. I mean, you
As
can,
let's say if it's a huge file and there's many things I want to take from it.
so normally, good practice is not to have a huge file. This is like a good practice because you want to split into each file has a purpose.
Right.
So you dividing and basically you encapsulating your files into other files. So you kind of building like blocks.
Got you.
So basically, for example, if it's more complicated, you can import something here, right? I don't know, something else that you want to use in these methods, and then you can export just these methods.
Right. Got you.
Yeah.
Nice one. Thank you.
Okay. So now, why I'm showing that now, because your homework will be to build your own library, and basically you try to compete with a big world and want to create your own the best library ever. And we have some requirements. I'll show you it later, but yeah. So this is how you exporting your code, and you can reuse it in different places, right? And yeah, so this is export, basically modules, and export is same thing. But if you go to modules, let me check that. Export modules. What does the background modules? Yeah, it just like as a concept that your file becomes a module. Oh, right. You also need, if you want to add it, I remember that you need to add, I think it's type module. Is it type module? Script, give a second. Type module. It's so hard to remember everything that you don't use every day. Just crazy. Where is it? Yeah, type module. So each module has its own top level scope. In other words, top level variable, module scene, the other script. Yeah, so basically if you want to make it visible in your HTML, you can actually add type module. So I think that here you don't need to expose it, as you can see, right? So wait a second, no such independent variables, right? Okay, but you can avoid it for now because you don't need to specify type module. You can just import it. And actually, maybe this is the problem for the front end. Let me check that. Yes, required. Look at this. So type. Sorry, I stuck with backend, and now it's like I completely forgot about the front end. Yeah, so if you write type module, not actually console login. Where is the any ideas? That was module, right? We have user and we have hello. Yeah, but that's right. Oh, right. So for the front end, this is just crazy. So for the back end, we use require, but for the front end, we use import, and we use our add, subtract, multiply, and divide from. This is just crazy. So yeah, as you can see, we get an error from the node, but here we want to add, look at this, so they are saying that we want to add our type. Wait a second, why they, hello, that should work, right? That definitely should work. Why it doesn't? Any ideas? Type. Oh, see why it doesn't? SRC. So see that we are getting an error, and this is coarse, and you can't load your modules because you're not running on the server. So you need to create a server to host your HTML file before you can use modules, because the browser by itself don't understand modules. So what you need to do to run it is to use serve, for example. Just serve. And now, because we are serving, so serve, by the way, is a package. So serve is not some magic from the space. It's just a package from npm. So we need to install it. I did it. That is why I can run this on my laptop. But you need to install it globally, so you can just run this the command. Okay, so if I go here, so lib not found, lib not found. Right. .js. Still no. The requested module lib does not provide an export named. Any ideas?
How about if you place export before every const and then take module dot out and turn it to export?
So you're saying that we want to do this?
Yeah. So that, and then what you had was right, but just take the modules dot out. So you still have the object that you had created.
Oh, you mean like export
Equals object, or yeah, export object, sorry, whatever, and then add subtract.
Okay. So let me just remove this then. So we are exporting an object with 4 things, and now we have it, right? Awesome. So see that we have a difference in Node.js and we have a difference with front end, because for the front end you use import, and because it understands this syntax, and for Node.js you need to use your require, because it doesn't recognize this new syntax import. And if I remove module here, from here, refresh, as you can see, that cannot use import statement outside of module. So if you want to use if you want to have an import in the file, that file should be with type module, right? And then you can use your export. With, again, for the backend, when you're creating modules on the backend side, you're writing your modules exports. This is the backend, the Node version of exporting files, exporting code. But front-end version is just export. Or as you said, in front of each. Come on. Oh my gosh. Why do we have this? Convert to named function. Oh my god. Sorry. Yeah, like export. Yep. Or like this. Should work. Yep, still working.
So if it's just a front end, you export the format you have written in the lib.js, correct?
So again, sorry, if I'm on the front end?
Yeah, if you want to like import or export files and their functions just for the front end, so you write export and the object.
Yeah, or export in front of each.
Yeah, and what about the import one side? It's you do import and
import and everything. Or you can have like, I don't know, mylib, right? And then you can use mylib.add. Right? Because you import in as one object. This is the same destructuring.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we can import like mylib and use it like this. Or we can destructure that object here and then use each method separately.
I see. And you also have to include something in the HTML file, correct?
In your HTML, you need to connect your JavaScript, right? The file that you want to use. But if that JavaScript file has import, you need to have a type module, because otherwise you can't use your import.
Cool. Well, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so see how it can be confusing with front-end and back-end and jump in between languages. Yeah. So again, you need to build, because we are on the front-end week and module, you need to build your front-end version of the project, sorry, not the project, of the exercise, of the library that you need to recreate. And yeah, so these are modules. Do you have any questions on that one?
I had a quick question.
Yep.
Obviously, you showed us the two different methods of importing. So what if you are like kind of doing like making your site go live and you're working on the back end and the front end? Like how, like do you use both? Like how does it work?
Yeah, you basically have similar stuff on both sides separately.
Right. Okay.
Because normally, like, it's not just normally, it's how it just works. People keep backend completely separately from the front end.
Right.
You do not. So when you have like one application, you still have like, let's say, two separate folders or two separate repos, front end and the back end.
Right.
You don't mix them in one thing.
Cool. That makes sense. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So let's talk about Babel. So Babel is a transpiler. So we'll be talking a lot about ES6. We have ES7, ES9, ES. Do we have ES10? Do we? ES complete guide. Yeah, we have ES10. And this is, each ES brings new features, and you can check what do they have, what kind of new functionality you have that you can use. We have some new methods, and we basically you can the JavaScript getting more and more functionality, and it becomes more and more flexible and usable, let's say. But not all browsers will follow the latest tag and latest syntax of the language, and it needs to be explained to the browser, and that is why we use Babel. So Babel basically takes your fancy code, your fancy JavaScript, the latest one, and converting it to the very old, I mean not very, to ES5, to old syntax. And your basically the browser will understand what you want to say, right? So you have spread operators, you have checks for the component, not for the property, before you get that property. So you have a lot of things. By the way, let me check, does the Chrome support it? So look at this, const user equals name Alex. This is it. So user dot name, we have Alex. User dot age, we have undefined. But what if we try, so we have age, and we want to get another property like max. We get an error, right? Because you try to get a property of undefined. So the new syntax, and this is what we use in, for example, at my work, I use it like every day. Question mark. So before, yeah, actually Chrome support it. So before you try to get your value, it will check, is it truthy? Is it actually a thing? So now you're not getting the error because it's checking, oh, it's falsy. I can't get it, so I will fail this one. I will just skip and I will do anything, right? So you do not get any errors. This is like a latest fancy syntax. But not all browsers support it. And you need to be like very careful with that. That is why like on big projects, you always use Babel. Because Babel will take your fancy code and transpile it to the old syntax. So look at here, they have different examples, right? So let's try user question mark dot question mark, or maybe friends. Friends question mark 2. Or maybe, I don't know. What do you want to have? Alex. Yeah. So see, it creates a variable user friends. Then it check for null. Oh, sorry. Come on. User friends. Should it be like this? Yeah. So you're checking your friends, and it return, if friends is falsy, then it will return basically no, wait a sec. So if your friends equals null, then it returns void. But where's the second part? Yeah, so basically it will stop the execution. It will void the rest, right? And many things like and probably Babel is like a standard, industry standard for to convert your new code to the old one. It's very easy to set up, and yeah, so they have a lot of languages. Let me just find in the browser prototyping CLI. Oh yeah, try, this is CLI. We don't want to do that. Is it Babel npm? I think it's in npm. Yeah. So you need to install your Babel to use it. And as you can see, every week we have 20 million downloads, right? It's pretty popular. Yeah, you can read documentation, etc. But as a junior, I wouldn't like this lesson is about things. Almost, it's about, so Babel, Webpack, and Gulp are things that you will not do when you're a junior, because. So what is a Webpack? Next topic for us. Webpack is a bundler. Have you heard anything about it? No? So Webpack, sorry?
Was about to ask about what?
Webpack, this one.
No, sorry.
So Webpack is a bundler. So what it does, imagine that you creating your project and you write in some JavaScript, you write in some handlebars, which is like a template, you saw them with Node.js, you write some Sass, right? And you write in different types of files. And these files are not supported by browsers. Like by default, they not support it. So what Webpack does, it takes all your files, compile it to something that your browser will support, and you will get, in the end, you will get just JavaScript, just CSS, and like just images, regular images. So you don't need to, basically it will compile your code to something, to the one thing. And why I'm saying that you don't need to think about that a lot now, because it's not the job for the junior to do that setup. Normally seniors doing their setup, and even if you ask senior about Webpack, you will find that he doesn't know how to do that. And this is because, I mean, it's not that he just don't know anything. It just says that, okay, to do a setup, I actually need and Google for that, because you have a huge project, right? Imagine that you are a company and you have a project. So you're doing the setup for the Webpack probably once on the very beginning when you start creating the project. And then for next 3 years, you don't touch that file because you just did a setup, how to compile your files, and then you don't touch it. And you can imagine that when you did something once and come back in 3 years, you probably will never remember how it works and what you need to change. And you might, in 3 years, you might come back and you need to add some loader, because now you use not just Sass, not just JavaScript, you also use Typescript files, and you want to compile them into JavaScript. So in 3 years, you come back, Google how to do that, how to add, like, you literally go in like, add Typescript to, or just Webpack, like Webpack TypeScript. And you just go in and see, okay, so I'm adding a new module, rules for TypeScript to compile it. This is it. And resolve and output, basically. So how it works, you're saying that, okay, use loader for these types of files, then look for all of them. So you want to take, basically look for such files like TypeScript, TSX, TS, or JavaScript, and they compile them into the bundle with JavaScript. So basically to the endpoint, the destination. And after these 3 years, you added this to your Webpack configuration and do not touch this file again for next 2 years. So that is why I'm just saying that you need to know what is it, what it does, but you really don't care how to do it now, because it's not your job as a junior and probably not even as a mid. but every time you need it, if you need it, you just Google for that and do that basic setup. Well, I'm saying if you need it, because for example, for React applications, which is very common, when you are a front-end developer, you use React application. For new applications, people use Create React App, which is kind of a bundler for it. Like it has a pre-setup for React application, so you don't actually touch Webpack file. You just using the Create React App, because this is already like, it's handling everything you need. And you need to, when you work on your application, you might need to update your Create React App package, because it will get some latest thing to support new stuff. So you don't even go and you will never see such files, because you're just working with Create React App package. So yeah, that is why this is just to know what it is and why do we need it. Questions on this one?
So is it like a library we can download with the npm? Is it a software, or is it available on the browser? You just input your code or files.
Yeah. So you install it as an npm package. So this is for TypeScript, but let me go to guidance, getting started, basic setup. So you basically initializing your npm environment, and then you installing your Webpack. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is it, basically. And you creating your, where is it? Index, modules, you creating the file webpack config.js, and you writing your file, your configuration there. But again, probably like, I don't know, React Webpack setup config file. Where is it? Create tab? No, not this one. Maybe just let me Google for basic Webpack setup config. Probably want to go to Git or somewhere. Config GitHub. Yeah, and somebody created that for you. So you can open the Webpack config, and basically they already doing something for you. So they handle in CSS, SCSS, they compiling that, and so basically what you do, you just actually downloading some configuration if you need it, and this is it. But again, as a front-end developer and you're working with React, you will probably never see the Webpack because of Create React App. Create React App. And we will talk about Create React App on the React module, but this is the whole thing. You don't need to do manual configuration. You basically have everything from the box.
Cool. Thank you.
Any other questions? Sorry, where is it? Any other? So, okay, why do you use Webpack? Tell me.
To help configure all of the tools that you use, like SAS and the other files that you mentioned.
Okay, so what it does for us? What Webpack does for us?
It takes all of the files which now might be supported by the browser.
Yeah.
And it gives us the code or the files that are supported by the browser.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, by default, it will create one huge JavaScript file, like huge JavaScript file. You can pass some props to create chunks for your files. So you can, for example, you have a page, like a website with 10 pages, and they are very independent. So you might create like 10 chunks for each page and configure as to create 10 chunks, and that will create 10 JavaScript files. No even HTML or something. It will basically create you JavaScript file that you will render, and that will do everything. So you're writing a bunch of files, creating modules, creating different pages, etc. But that will be compiled into one or a few files, depends on your setup. So you might sometimes, let me think where we can find it. Probably any, oh yeah, right. Let's go to our website. Great, we have errors. Great start, right? So if you go to source, as you can see here, oh, we're not minifying, we're not compressing. Beautiful, how smart we are. It's still compiled to JavaScript, but it's not actually compressed. Great, smart people. And we have some TypeScript files, which we didn't create any TypeScript files. Let me go to some other websites. The Guardian. Yeah. So here they have compiled HTML, right? But when they create in their file, they have a lot of components, but that will be compiled into one huge HTML. So this is the job for bundlers. We are hiring. Look at this. See how you can find a job easily? Ever thought about joining us?
That wasn't easy, was it?
Yeah, easy. Yeah, we can find a job now. So check some websites. They might be hiring. Yeah. I think this is a great place to put your advertisement, right? Yeah, so typically companies, they do such things because they think that, okay, if you're going to their dev tools, you have some interest to their platform. So you might be interested in work for them and work for them. That's nice. Yeah.
Below it had a website as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so they provided you a URL. So network source, and they give you the URL where to go.
That's incredible.
Yeah. You know where to find the job, right?
AJ is going to apply next hour.
Yeah. Actually, if you go to the Facebook, let me check. No, some websites, if you go to console, oh yeah. If you go to the console, they will stop. This is browser feature intended for developers. If someone told you to copy and paste something, they might hack you. But yeah, they kind of. So different websites doing different things in the terminal, in the developer tools, or they sending you different things. And there is a great platform which I don't have time to play, but they hack the box for people who are interested in cybersecurity. So this is really fun. This is so exciting. It's like, if you want to register, join us. And you need to provide invite code. And you think, okay, how can I get one? So you need to inspect, go to console, we'll go keep calm and hack this box. So you basically need to hack them to get the code. So get element by class is null. Let's go here. Let's actually look for something. We have some error. I mean, this is a site like very different thing from what we try to explain it to you, of course, but invite the API column. So this is the one here. So basically you need to look for the functions that they have to generate. So they make invite code. Look at it, they have some function, right? Let's try. See, we got some data. Haha! We almost there. See that? So they have a data and they have encryption, base 64. So base 64 online decrypt. You provided it. Decode. In order to generate an invite code, post request to this one, right? So you need to write a post request. Can anyone tell me how to write a post request? How to do that? Last lesson. Fetch.
Oh, fetch, and then in brackets you have the URL.
URL. We have URL.
Somebody tag in.
So here we want to have an object because we want to have method post. Post. And what do they want from us? I think it's nothing. Body should be empty, right? Make a post request. Yeah. Look at us. We almost hacked the world. And let's say, yeah, we probably don't need anything else. Just method dot then. And we are expecting, what do we expect? Data, right? The callback. Because we will get some response, and console log data. So what do we get? Generate body. Oh yeah, right. So what do we need to do? Not just data, because this is response. So response.json, right? And we want to have another then. We have data. Console log data. So now we should get data is not defined. All right, response. My bad, blind me. Resp. Yeah. Look at us, right? One more code. Let's try to decode it because it's definitely not the valid one. Look at us. Try. Woohoo! So you got the point, right? If you're
so essentially, you have no chance of getting the job.
Why?
Because this is a wild goose chase.
Yeah, but this is the whole point. That if you are interested in cybersecurity, you look for flaws, right?
Right. Okay. Cool.
And now we got the key, and now we can register and do the setup and basically get exercises. And yeah, then this is fun. This is really fun. I think that I have an account. I might have an account. Curse in hoods. Let me check that.
So this is all free.
Yeah, it is free. Woo. Let me just, I forgot my password, email. Let me check that. That should work. Yeah.
Remember, we are all watching.
You're watching, right? Okay, and you're kind of here. So they have like redesign beta, try it. Okay, so colors, inputs, gmail.com. Yeah. And okay, save dashboard. They have like labs rankings. They had a great, like, exciting View HTTP Classic. Give me a second. So they had.
That looks very nice.
Sorry.
That looks pretty good. It looks like you're a pro in hacking.
Exactly. So let me just refresh because it's loading. Response time. They had like a great map, like world map with activity, and it was looking like awesome, really awesome. Starting point. Let me check that. It was like a landing page. Why so slow? Why so slow? Yeah. Anyway, if you're interested, I think it's because. Oh right, I know why. Because I'm blocking everything. Yeah. So they have like attack map in the world. Where's the activity? Yeah. This is really cool. I really want to find the time to play with it and try to learn cybersecurity. But yeah, this is the whole idea. Hack the box.
So would that like the password that you found out, is it always the same or it keeps changing?
I don't know. Maybe they keep changing. Maybe they generating when you do post request. Yeah, I don't even know that. This is crazy. Yeah.
Looks good though.
Okay, let's go back to our Webpack, right? So the next bit is Gulp. Gulp is pretty similar to the Webpack, but it's very easy to set up. And I will provide you a default setup for your Twitter project. So Gulp, it's also a bundler. So it takes your code, bundle, and execute, basically exporting for you. And let's actually do some setup. Get started. Version. So let's actually do some setup. Why not? So npm init. Right. I forgot my flag. Okay, so we have npm. Now we want to install Gulp. npm init. Save dev. So we want to add it as a dependency. Beautiful. Need to be sudo. Great. Yeah, so now I want to add it to our dependency, so let's install it. Yep. Right? Yeah, we got it. Did we? Not yet. Yeah, we've added gulp. Beautiful. So we need to create the gulp file. So use the text editor, create a file named gulp file.js, right? So let's create gulp file.js. So we're creating gulp file, beautiful, and run gulp. Looks like it is working, indeed, beautiful. So it's compiling, right? Let's do some setup. Transpilation, splitting files. We're looking for, let's start with SAS. SAS is pretty SAS setup. This is what you normally do when you do such setups. Using command. So you need to install gulp SAS, as you can see. Npm install. Then you want to import it, required to your project. Const. Right. We've added SAS. Then we can create a task. So gulp. Basically this one, right? So we're creating a task in here. Ooh, we don't have gulp, which is odd. Yeah, we want to have gulp here as well. Gulp. And let go of these quotes. So you're saying that the task name, SAS, then you're saying that the source should be, for example, SCSS, right? Sorry. SCSS, app SCSS, and pipe, then error. If it's error, then SAS load error. Then you have pipe. So you're basically adding like steps for compilation. And let me just do this. What did I miss? One task. Yep, that's good.
There is something by the error. Is it?
Give me a second. I probably missed some parentheses.
Yeah, no, it's what Mushtaq said. You're missing. You've got a syntax error by error on after the on.
After. Oh yes,
So,
thank you. This is the one, but we still have some pipe. So pipe, we have open, closing. Yeah. We forgot about this one, I believe. Yeah. See this? Do not rely on such articles. Oh, well, they actually have two. Was it me? Okay, yeah, that probably was me. Sorry. Yeah. So, and we compile into app, not app CSS, but just to CSS. So let's create a folder, SCSS. Let's create a file, index SCSS. Here, let me create some h1. Maybe let's div. And here we want to have h1, and maybe font size 2M, right? And here we will create some kind of a box. Or just border, 1 pixel solid green. So we have SAS, right? and we have task. So now what we can do, we can add another task with watcher. So Sass, basically, yeah, what they saying to you is that you create like a default watcher. So not watcher, just task with Sass to compile Sass. But you need, if you want to have a watcher, so you will run your gulp that will watch for your task Sass, right? Here, this is your task that you want to watch Sass. And again, not this one, not app, but index. And here we have index, like this, to listening for that file. And I believe if you want to let me try to run gulp. Great. This is what you normally have after these helpful articles, right? Default task is not defined. Where do we have default task? All right, default task. Why? Right. Wait a second. Export. We probably don't need this one. Or define default. Beautiful. Do you want to assign to variable? We probably won't, right? Const, let me try. So here, Sass watcher, and we have this one. Now we define default. What? Anyone know? Yeah, so we have tasks gulp. Right. So if you need to write like Sass dot watch. Not dot. Beautiful. In the watch task.
I was just trying to, think like assuming we're not going to have too much complication, too much files. So do we really need this?
Gulp, yes, for Twitter, trust me, you need it, because you need to write, but when you start writing Twitter application, you need to have, you need to write Sass first thing, and then you probably want to have file uploader, so you want to have to handle files, to store it locally, or build a path. But yeah, so you definitely need to have a, but again, I will provide you the template with gulp setup. With so you don't need to think about the setup, because again, this is not for you. And as you can see, because I'm not doing that every day, watch that has not been, I'm also struggling with that. I need to check. And let me just quickly fix it. Watch task has not been a function. What does it mean? Right, sorry. Let me try. Yeah, has not been a function. 31. Generating by using the partner is serious. Why does it like me? Okay, if I run just Sass, the following task did not complete. Did you forget to signal async compilation? Okay.
So this index Sass file will be changed into the CSS file.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah. God damn it. Why? Let me check something else.
So that makes me think like we can't write Sass direct into the CSS file.
What do you mean? You still need to compile it, right?
Yeah.
You always need to compile.
Yeah.
Hello, wait a second. So they have gulp sauce. This is what we have. Then this one. Then we have create gulp source. This is if you want to listen for the whole folder, because here we listen from one file, right? But if you want to listen for the whole folder, you're just using asterisk and CSS. So basically here you just put in asterisk and same here. But still, why it's complaining? So let's imagine we're putting this one and this one will go to, oh wait a sec, was it compiled? Yeah, it was compiled. Look at us, it was compiled. Why it's, did you forget this? Yeah, I don't know, but it was compiled. So it created the file, the CSS file for us, and we have it. We have it, but let me just try, because I want to try to run this listener. So app SAS. This is basically the typical day of the developer. You're sitting and debugging what's going on. So SAS watch app, not app, but just CSS. Just. And let me try again. Watch. Great. What task has not been found? Watch task has to be function. But it is, right? Is it? Okay, what about just SAS? Yeah, so that was successful. So if I remove this one and rerun my command, beautiful. Let me just try to do this. CSS. Did it create? No. What about the index? Come on. Why? Right, maybe because of that. Yes. See? Because the route was wrong. So here I was looking for SCSS root folder in my laptop, but we actually want to look inside this on that level. So if I remove this one again, right? So we have just CSS folder, save it, rerun. We just got the file, right?
To me, the output looks exactly the same.
No. So look at this. Here we have nested inside div, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here we have just two separate selectors, separate things.
So is it also watching or listening to the changes as well? Or?
So this is what I'm struggling with, right? That should work.
Mm.
And for some reason it won't work. Where's the watcher? It should be a watcher. Gulp watch syntax. Gulp task watch. Like this. Should it be like this? Again, we're removing this part. We're removing that part. Save. So let's start gulp watch. Gulp. What does it want from me? And never been defined. Yeah, because we have task watch. So, and watch task has to be a function. What the heck? We're literally doing what they're asking, right? More often thought we will much more than one type. What the really? Just crazy. Oh, wait a sec. Why it's still all? Oh, yeah, right. But still, it doesn't like it asking about some function. What's going on? Any ideas? Why they are saying that should work, but it's not? So what we normally do with that? We just Google for the error.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is what we have. No serious. Go for this is no longer a case. You have to pass a function to customary to the gulp in the past series. Ooh. Location. Image. Okay, so styles. Okay. Does it mean that we want to have something like this? Let's try. And then we defined styles. Right, so that should be SAS. Try again. Watch has not been defined. Yeah, right, because 1 second. So this one, because it's not a task anymore. Here we want to replace with this one. Yay! Look at us. So let's check that. And color green. Save. See? Magic. So they updated the gulp. That is why it's failing their suggestions. This is what I'm saying. Like every time you're doing a setup, by that point of time, they will do some changes and you literally need to start over. Right.
I thought the gulp series it should be styles because it's the CSS.
No. So it's looking for the task name, and you've created a task SAS. If I create task kitten,
so you have to give the name. Yeah.
so start again. We're watching for that task, and that will still work.
Cool.
Just a task. Yeah. See, starting kitten, finishing kitten. Yeah, but probably keeps us. Yeah, but again, I will provide you the setup file for your project. Any questions on gulp? I probably don't have much. Any? No? So again, this is pretty much, it's very similar to Webpack. It's a bundler. It's not probably that powerful if you just go through some darkness, the deepest point of the Webpack, but it's also a bundler. And yeah, again, you don't need to think about that. You always need to, basically, you will Google for every single time when you need it in a few years, because they're constantly updating something, and yeah, you just need to read documentation. By the way, on Thursday we will have practice lesson. So we will have like a code along lesson, and we actually can start building our e-commerce. So I thought that it might be helpful for you to start showing you how to build layouts how do I build layouts. So we can ask more questions about HTML basically and CSS. What do you think about that?
So would that be able to, like, we would be able to complete it 2 hours?
No. I'm just saying that we will spend, because basically the point is to show you how to do stuff. It's not just do it for you.
Yeah.
But to show the approach, show how I structure elements, why I'm doing that, and yeah, basically show the best practice of how to build pages.
I see. All right. Okay. And then on, I think if the students listening or watching this lecture, we can group and complete the tasks if anybody is interested to do that.
I hope that you're all interested to do that. Yeah. So basically, we will again. You'll be involved, so you'll tell me how to create elements, how to suggest me how to structure it, etc. It's not just I'm silently coding for 2 hours. I know that you prefer that type of lessons, but no. And yes, and we will have another code along in a week, I think. Maybe we can actually continue with the e-commerce. We will see. I will think about that. What do we want to show you? Because basically now you'll have less exercises. I will deploy. I already did, I think. Did I? I'll check that. But I will deploy the exercise for this week, and and that will be the only exercise for this week. And I will deploy your project. So you need to start your project already, because it is big, and you will not build it in an evening or 2 evenings or 3 evenings. You definitely need time for that. But you already know the major part from what you already need for this project. Maybe even everything you need for that project. Because let me show you. Give me a second. Looking for the project. Twitter project. Give me a second. Figma. Yeah, so this is your project. You need to build a login page. You need to actually build. I will tweak requirements because you already know the backend, but you need to build the login page. Don't go crazy. Just create some database or some file in to work as a database on the backend. Query, send a email, the username and password, get a response. Does it match? If it match, response with true or false, I don't know, something like that, and redirect to another page. And this is your main page. So here you need to have a scrollable, infinite scroll with all your tweets. So we'll provide you some database. You probably, maybe you need to create a few. So to create, so you have you can, when you click on icon, it will upload, open the window to upload your image, the avatar. Then you'll be able to click. Oh, let me actually. We did a good job, I think, with this one. Yeah. So you're providing login. If you click on the image, I can right? I can retweet. I can create a new tweet. Can type something, tweet it. I can create response from here. Click, write some text. Click reply, and that should increment the number. Then you can click on the tweet itself. It will open in a separate view with all comments to this tweet, and you can create a new comment. So now it's not a new tweet, it's a comment. So when you click on this one, it will create a new comment, so you can tweet it, and you will create a new comment for this tweet. So go back. Is it? Can I go back? Can I go back? Sorry. Yeah, you can cancel, I think, but yeah. Yeah, so on this view, this button is to create a tweet. That button, when you're inside, this button is to create a comment on tweet. Questions? Any? Come on, I truly believe that you should have some questions at least. No? Do you think, are you, on your opinion, you think you're able to build it?
With a lot of help.
Okay, that's the spirit. Because really, we've covered everything you need. It's nothing crazy. The backend for you is just some endpoint for tweets, and you know how to create like endpoint with different endpoints. So you have tweets, you have each tweet probably has some comments. So when you send, leave the comment, give a sec. So when you leave the comment, you targeting the one specific tweet. So you need to think about like a structure of your server, you want to connect comments to tweets, how to send it, about endpoints. And I hope that we will discuss that in Slack, in a channel, so we can think about, I'm happy to discuss every single suggestion, how the endpoint can be structured and your database can be structured. But yeah.
Are we going to do this like after we complete the e-commerce, or while?
No, this is your project. This is your project for this module.
Mm-hmm.
So you have 3 weeks to complete it. Right? And again, let's talk about that in Slack. Let's discuss that. And I'm happy to help as well, of course. Start from styling, from basic layout, maybe. Try to do a setup for the backend and create. Let's do that. Let's start with backend endpoints and database structure. Let's discuss that in Slack and tell me your ideas, and we can talk about that there. So we can set up the backend. You can test it with your Postman, right? You can create endpoints, you can create a link database, and start testing with endpoints, with Postman. If then you'll be ready for your front end, and you'll start creating your front end. But you'll create the backend.
Maybe a mini walkthrough in few days, or maybe after. That might will help.
Walkthrough what?
Like rather than talking on a Slack, it might be a small lecture or walkthrough, like how are we going to model this?
Yeah, but first I want to get some ideas from you. What do you think? Not what I tell you. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So we will tell you what we could do and where we might need help.
Okay, so if you send messages with your ideas in Slack, after that we can set up a call and discuss your ideas. Okay? Yes? No?
Sounds good.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, as I said, it's not very complicated. You definitely you know everything you need for this project. I know that you're scared more, and you think that, oh my gosh, this is some I will not handle that. But you know everything. If you start building that, if you start from tiny steps and doing this setup for the backend, test it, that will work. Then you start creating a login page, and you will be able to log in and log out, and then you'll create the very first this view, for example, and create the first section. So you try to upload the file, your avatar, and store it on your database, not database, but as a file, right? You had that exercise, how to upload the file. Then you do that. Then you'll try to create it to fetch all tweets. Then you'll be able to like them and retweet them, etc. But this is step by step. You don't think that this is a project and I can't handle that. You know everything you need. Just need to split it into steps. Okay. I hope that it is okay.